from the center of the universe and the Thrive15.com world headquarters.
Let's go!
Presenting the world's only business school without the BS, with optometrist and entrepreneur Dr. Robert Zoellner and the former Small Business Administration Entrepreneur of the Year in your ear, Clay Clark. It's the Thrivetime Show.
All right, Thrive Nation, what is the point of a job? What is the point of a job? Who? What is the point of a job? Are you asking me? I think a lot of times we have a job and we don't ask ourselves why we have this job. Now, Sarah, you're here to my right. You work here. You've had a lot of jobs in very generic terms, because I don't want to get you in trouble. What other industries have you worked in outside of working up here in the office with our business coaching clients, selling tickets to events? What other jobs have you had?
Gosh, I've been in food and retail. I've been in insurance.
Really?
Yeah.
How does this job stack up to the other jobs thus far?
Well, I mean, this one's definitely unique because I actually learned things.
You learned things?
Yeah.
Okay. So of all your jobs you've ever had, how many jobs do you think you've had? Like full-time jobs?
Full-time jobs, I've probably had about 6.
6? And is this in the bottom? This is the worst one? Is it in the middle?
This is actually the best job I've had. And
So
I'm
far?
not even being biased.
And what do you like about it up here?
I mean, I like that if I have a goal, I can actually achieve it instead of getting.
So like a merit-based pay system?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting is that my wife and I were talking about you yesterday, actually. And my wife was like, Sarah's awesome because you like merit-based pay.
I do. I love it.
But some people hate merit-based pay. So if you're out there listening today and you don't want to get paid based upon your efforts, you're not going to want to listen to today's show. But if you want to find a way to earn financial freedom and time freedom, I think you might want to listen into today's show. And now, without any further ado, Matt Klein is on the line. Matt Klein with OxyFresh. How are you, sir?
I am doing wonderful. How are you?
Brother, I'm excited to talk to you here. I'm fired up. I'm going to pull up your website here, oxyfresh.com. And people always say, why do you have the carpet guys on the show every week? Well, I think the reason why I do this is because many, many people tell me, I want to start a successful company, but I don't know what kind of business. I don't know, have an idea.
Sure.
I don't know where I would start. And I would submit that whether someone buys an OxyFresh or a Tip Top Canine or any other brand of franchise, a franchise is a great way to start because it's kind of like bumper bowling. If you go bowling, sir, have you ever been bowling before?
I have.
Are you the gutter ball queen? Do you do a good job? Do you tend to go gutter ball?
I actually am. I'm a strike queen.
Really? Are you?
Yeah,
You're good?
Sure I'm good at it.
What's your score on average?
I mean, I'm in the 260s.
Are you serious?
I'm in the league.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're in a league?
I am.
You have a ball with you have like a rose in the middle of your ball?
It's a nice one. It's marble. It's nice.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Do you have your name on the ball?
I don't.
You're in a league, though?
I am.
Do you have an embroidered shirt that says your name on it?
No.
How do I know you're in a league? Okay, now, Matt Klein, are you a decent bowler?
No, she'd smoke me.
Matt, I mean, are you staying in the gutter a lot, or how often are you going in the gutter?
I mean, I don't think I throw gutter balls, but I don't throw a lot of strikes.
Okay, so the purpose, though, of the bumpers is to keep you from flying off the rails, from losing, from having 0 points. And that's what a franchise is. I mean, you're paying for a system that will guide. It's a proven system. And what the only variable now is you. Are you willing to put in the work? So, Matt Klein, if somebody does go to oxyfresh.com and they're looking into buying a franchise, how much money does it cost? Can you hear me, Matt? Are you being attacked by the deep state? Matt, are you freezing? Are you frozen? Are you emotional about it? Matt, are you there? Was it an offensive question? I think Matt was offended. I think that he sounds like he was offended.
I don't think he likes merit-based pay.
Well, he didn't want to talk about it. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. That's in the past. Okay, let me pull it up here.
It's a thing of the future.
Let me see. Let me refresh the internet connection. Let me try it. Here we go. Doing some refreshing. Matt, are you there? Matt, are you there? Matt, come on. Hey-oh. Oh, boy, Billy. Matt, are you back?
I don't know. Am I back?
I think you're back. Were you offended by the last question, or what happened, Matt?
I couldn't hear the last question. I don't know.
That's fair. I was asking.
Third word.
I was asking if somebody goes to oxyfresh.com and they want to learn about buying a franchise, how much money does it cost?
So our franchise fee is $41,900. And that $41,900 gets your license to run the franchise for 7 years, gets your entire equipment set up that you need to get started, gets you about 3 months worth of product. It gets you the training where I'll fly you to Colorado and spend about a week with myself and the team. So it'll get you really going and started. Best practice is once you've invested that $41,900, you still want to have about $25,000 operating capital just available to you. So you can really get your business off to the right start, get it rolling, get it making money, and a real business.
Now, Matt, as far as when you buy a franchise, you're paying money to buy the franchise. Sarah, now as an employee, did I charge you to start working? Do you remember? Did I charge you $49,000 to start? Or?
No, you did not.
But the thing is, then I'm kind of betting on you. So I'm supplying the computer, the office, the leads, the marketing, the systems, all those kind of things, and you're supplying the effort. With an OxyFresh, Matt, you're putting up your own money and your own effort. So what questions do people typically ask you if they're becoming self-employed for the first time? Because I think that's a different mindset to go from being an employee to owning your own franchise.
It definitely is different. They ask me how are you going to support me? What are some of the things that I'm going to run into that are going to be tough to handle? They'll say, what is the competitive analysis of my market? What territory do I get to actually operate in? What is the advantage of OxyFresh over who I'm going to be competing with, right? It's just you have to have the answer to all those to be able to make the correct decision as to what you're going to do.
And I think I've been self-employed for, since I was 16, 15 years old. So I've worked at Applebee's and Target and DirecTV to fund starting a thing. I think a lot of people, though, who jump into franchising for the first time, I get a lot of questions. They say, well, how do I know I'm going to make any income? Or what's my guaranteed return on investment? If I put money into it, how quickly will I get my money back? What would you say, Matt, for someone who says, if I'm going to go to oxyfresh.com and I buy an OxyFresh, how quickly will I get my money back?
Yeah, well, that's a question that needs a lot of diving into, right? So there are some people that say, well, I want to be a passive owner. I have a full-time job or own other companies, so I'm going to spend very little time and I want to run this business and make it successful. It's like, well, we can do that, right? But that person and the time it takes for them to become, like a lot of people say, break even or cash flow positive, or maybe that's going to take longer than someone that's doing this full time. It's their primary source of income. So you have factors in there that really will dictate how quickly we can get to some of these goals, right? And then on the other side too is like, who are you? What's your background, right? We're giving you the resources. What are you going to do with it? So a lot of people say, well, if I give you $50,000, can you make me $250,000 at the end of the year? It's like, well, no, it doesn't work that way. We're going to give you the resources, the infrastructure, the marketing support, the actual knowledge of running a business. Now, what you do with those things will dictate how quickly you make money, will dictate how quickly you scale, will dictate how quickly you even have even more source of income down the road. So part of the evaluation is really trying to understand who I'm dealing with, what their backgrounds, what their skill sets are, and be able to understand for them how they can make this successful with our support and help in their local market. So it is very much like an individual one-on-one evaluation to see who these folks are and what they're going to be able to do. We have people from 21 years old to 70.
Now, Matt Klein, I will tell you this one thing about Sarah. I've got a chance to work with her the past year or so, and one thing I've discovered is she has a disproportionate love of carpet. She often talks about carpet during the office. She's like, "Hey, is there any way we could install carpet?" And I'm like, "Well, why?" She said, "Because then we can clean it."
It's all
no. Seriously, I mean, Sarah, if you were going to buy an OxyFresh, okay, and I know right now they don't have any territories available in our particular area, but let's just say that you and your husband wanted to buy an OxyFresh. Mm-hmm. What questions would you have for Matt Klein about opening an OxyFresh franchise?
I mean, really, the main one is, how long would it take to get my money back? But also, it would be like, how much of my time would this take?
Oh, there you go. Now we caught you in a corner. You can't fight your way out of this one, Matt.
Well, the first question is answered from the last answer I had is the same. But the question of what do you need to do? So we will evaluate what your time is, what your day actually consists of. Because a lot of people say, oh, I'm busy all day long. And then what happens is we go through their day and they're not busy hardly at all. They just choose to do things with their time that are not productive, right? But then we do come across folks that say, hey, I got meetings from here to here. I got an hour here and I got 30 minutes here. And so what we need to do is we need to actually drill down individual tasks in a daily basis that you can do in small increments that will actually get you to your monthly and yearly goals so we can meet some of those, scalability goals so you can start making some money. So for instance, if you need to get 50 reviews, well, I would try to say, let's give us 50 days. If we had one review a day, that's a very easy task. You could do that very simply. In 50 days, you'll hit that goal, right? If you want to be more ambitious and do it in half, now you need 2 per day, right? If we're going out and we're talking to commercial clients, you're not going to have time to go out and do, 8 hours a day of actual business development. But that doesn't mean you have to throw that aside. You can do a lot with a little if we just break down your day, understand what our goals are, and fit those into the business, what the business actually needs to be successful, and what you can do with your time. We can make that model very successful.
Sarah, what would be the most terrifying thing of going to oxyfresh.com, going to Denver? You meet them, they tell you they tell you everything about buying the business. You and your husband, you bite the bullet. you decide to go all in. You burn the boats. You break down the bridges. You have no plan of retreat. What would be the scariest part of opening up an oxyfresh.com franchise with no guarantee of income?
I mean, really, it's just the failure to bring customers in and the failure of the growth. Depending on the location, a bad location could.
So you said you might be worried about that.
Yeah, I would be worried.
Matt, do people worry about this? Are they worried about this? Does Sarah have a psychological problem?
Nope, that's pretty common, right? People typically are about. People always tell me that there's no one in the United States that wants to work anymore. That's not true. There's a ton of people that want really good paying jobs with opportunities to scale. We got to find them, right? And then also what you just said, like, how are we going to get jobs? And that's one of the things we talk about on our second call. We're going to go through a very deep dive of market, where you live, where you're looking to grow the business. We're going to do a very deep dive of who your competition is, where they stand in the market, what we need to do to actually combat that, because we are going to be the driver of business on Google and on Facebook and all these things. And so we have to know where our competition stands first. We can basically outline an entire marketing program. Here's the best part of it. Like, we're not just going to say, okay, hey, how about you build your website and Google page and Facebook page and Yelp page and Bing page and get back to us, right? We're going to say, we're going to build those things for you. We're going to keep them up to date. It's an environment that's too hard to do on your own. So we're going to take that heavy lifting off your plate. And what we're going to do is give you a task, the reviews. Get the reviews from your customers. Get the reviews from your friends and family. Drive that home, because you can do that yourself and you can teach your employees that. That's a repeatable task that will give you unlimited income down the road. So we try to meet you in the middle, right? We don't want you to do everything, because we know that's a task that's really too hard to handle.
So my final question I have for you, if I'm listening today and I go, okay, step one, I just want to maybe learn more about buying an OxyFresh. Should we send you smoke signals? Do you prefer fax messages, fax machine, facsimile messages? What's the best way to get a hold of you guys? And I know that for a while there was the smoke signal thing that we were into, and it didn't turn out to be the most effective. And then there was the fax method, which I was pushing for a few months there. And it turns out the fax machine isn't the preferred method. What's the preferred method, Matt? Do you want people to reach out to you?
Yeah, you just need to go on and fill out a form, right? The form is going to give us your contact information.
Yep.
It's going to tell us where you came from. Like, if you go through Thrive, it'll actually show me that you came through Thrive, which is great because I know where you came from.
Yep.
And then what we're going to do is you're going to get a text message, email, and phone call, and we're just going to set up an introductory call. That introductory call is going to allow us to just explore what you're trying to accomplish, where you live, just kind of simple questions. Let me dive a little bit into OxyFresh and some of the things you don't know. And then we'll see if there's some synergy. If there's some synergy and it makes sense to go on to the more in-depth conversations, we will do that.
And that website you can go to, folks, is thrivetimeshow.com/oxyfresh. thrivetimeshow.com/oxyfresh. You can pull it up. You can learn everything you need to know to request an appointment with Matt Klein and his team. You fill out the form, boom, they'll give you a call. And one other thing you can do if you're not looking to be productive, you can go to freestuff.com if you want to be unproductive, Matt. And this is incredible. Let me tell you about this real quick. Years ago, Matt, I had a friend of mine from high school, and he was messing with me a little bit. And I'm like, oh, are you messing with me? Matt, you know how people will leave, you call them and they'll act like they have one of those voicemails that's like, hello. And then you say something and then they go, sorry, I can't hear you. And then they kind of lead you along with that, and he was doing that kind of stuff to me, but he would leave me voicemails and he was screwing with me all the time, man. He sent me text messages and it didn't make any sense. And anyway, so I was like, you know what? Two can play this game, but only one of us can play this game obsessively for 2 consecutive days. So I went to freestuff.com, Matt, with his name, his phone number, and his address. And I sign this man up to receive every free catalog, every free sample, every free thing you could possibly get. And the last time I spoke to him, Matt, he was getting hundreds of pieces of mail on a daily basis sent to his house. So if you want to be productive, you go to oxyfresh.com and you book an appointment there. If you want to be unproductive, go to freestuff.com. Matt, would you appreciate it if all of our listeners went to freestuff.com and signed you up and auto shipped you some free samples? I mean, there's some incredible catalogs. Matt, would you prefer that? I get a nice prepper catalog series sent to you for free, or a Big and Tall magazine or anything like that, Matt? We could do that for you.
I would not be okay with that.
Okay.
I would not be okay.
Okay, well, we won't talk about that until the next show. Matt Klein, I really do appreciate you. Again, that's thrivetimeshow.com/oxyfresh. Matt Klein, have a great day, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a good day.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Get ready to enter the Thrive Time Show.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
We started from the bottom, now we're on the top. Teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of five, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the C&Z up on your radio. And now 3, 2, 1, here we go!
We started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, we are in the air everywhere. I am so excited. I'm joined here today with an incredible entrepreneur based here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Full disclosure, she's a longtime client. So she has a bias. She probably likes me less than most people, or likes me more. I don't know. We'll see. But her name is Kendra, and she is the founder of a company called the Flutter, or a company called The Extensionist. We'll let her tell you about the name of the company and why there's different names and what she does. But she has an eyelash extension business, and we've worked with her for the past couple of years. And what's exciting is she's in the process of licensing the business. So she's going to be opening up multiple locations where people like you who are listening today, if you're looking for a business model that can create time and financial freedom for your family, you can license a business from her, meaning that you can pay her a certain percentage of your revenue for exclusive access to use her business model in your local community. And I'm very excited about it. And so without any further ado, Kendra, welcome onto the Thrive Time Show. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fired up that we're here together, and hopefully I don't screw it up. You're doing a good job. You're off to a good start. Hopefully I'm getting better. But what I want to do for just a second is I want to tap into your business. So people out there who want to go to your website and look at your website, what is the website people need to go to right now?
It's www.theextensionist918.com.
And you spell it, it's the, so T-H-E.
One.
There's one
Yes.
E. So it's not like the extensionist918.com, but it's THEXTENSIONIST918.com. If you're saying, I can't figure it out, I'll put it in the show description so everyone can go there, but it's theextensionist918.com. So what's the official name of your business there, Kendra?
So it's officially Flutter brand, and that's because we have 5 locations, and they all kind of have different names. There's 2 of one name and then 2 of another name, and then there's one Flutter. And that's because we do different services at different locations. So the Extensionist is called the Extensionist because we do hair extensions there too. So it kind of encompasses that. And then Flutter is just eyelash extensions. And then Glow Up is eyelash extensions and permanent makeup.
Okay. And okay. So if you're listening today and you say, I want to open my own time freedom and financial freedom creating business, that is what we're talking about. That's my entire thing, as I try to help people create time freedom and financial freedom in your business. The Extensionist business, the Flutter brand, I believe is a great opportunity. But if somebody decides to go into a contractual relationship with you, what brand are they going into business with?
So I would recommend the Flutter name, just because with the licensing, we're just starting with the eyelash extension side of it, because we've kind of perfected the systems and the training with that. And then later on, I'd like to do the Glow Up, which would encompass the permanent makeup too. But for now, it would be Flutter.
Okay. And again, all the services that you provide, can you tell us again, what are all the services that you guys provide?
Eyelash extensions, hair extensions, teeth whitening, permanent makeup, hair extensions, and that's it.
And this business, how long have you been in business?
Since 2014.
Okay. And what motivated you to start the business?
My kids. So I didn't really have like this big dream or goal. I just wanted to take care of my kids. And then it kind of just snowballed from there. But I really didn't take off until I met you. So when I started with you, I just had one. And then I had my second location, which was like 30% built out. It wasn't even close to being open. So, and that was in 2019.
Got it. And so we have this thing called the workflow, and I want people to see what a workflow is. And every business has its own workflow. So I'm going to pull up the workflow first off for a company called Tip Top Canine. In full disclosure, I am an owner of Tip Top Canine. I'm a minority owner. They started off as a client, and now they are a franchise that I help franchise. So full disclosure, I do make money every time that we sell a Tip Top Canine, and I make 2% of the gross revenue. When people buy a Tip Top Canine franchise, I make a percentage as the business grows. So let me just pull up what a workflow looks like. For those watching online can see right now what a workflow looks like. So a workflow is a way that visually explains how the business works. So a Tip Top Canine, the way that it works, if you buy a Tip Top Canine, the stuff in black is what the local owner does, and the stuff in gray is what we do. Now, they're a franchise now. They're no longer a licensee relationship. They're a franchise, but I'm just showing you an example. So if you bought a Tip Top, you in black here on this document you're looking at, you would need to get Google reviews from happy customers, and you would need to do the Dream 100 marketing. So your job would be to market to dog groomers and veterinarians and people that are likely to refer you business, and you need to gather objective reviews from your actual clients. However, we, as a company, as a franchise, we would provide for you search engine optimization, Facebook advertising, all your social media advertising, your search engine optimization, your online ad management. So we do all that for you. Then the leads come in to the website, and then our call center at Tip Top Canine, which is managed by Rachel Wimpy, they do a phenomenal job. And by the way, if you want to buy a Tip Top Canine franchise, that website is tiptopcanine.com. You do have to love dogs to make it work. That's tiptopcanine.com. But the call center would then call the potential buyer, and they would book an appointment. And then from that point forward, from the time of the appointment, you as the local owner would train the dog. You would provide the first lesson. You would sign the client up for the right package. You would be hiring all the people that train dogs. So you really have a lot of responsibility once that first appointment is set. But the call center books the appointments for you, and the corporate team, we basically generate all the leads for you. And so if someone were to buy a flutter, Kendra, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's how that relationship would work, right? Is you would book all the appointments with your call center, and by and large, you would handle the vast majority of the marketing for the local licensee. Is that correct?
Correct. I would say it's all pretty identical, except for like with Tip Top, I'm pretty sure that they train the owner to actually train dogs.
Yep.
And with this, you would be having your employees trained and then taking clients. So you would be kind of in the owner operator seat versus actually doing it yourself.
And I want to give people that just 100% clarity so everyone can really think through this. If you bought a Tip Top Canine franchise, you come to Tulsa and you have to do 6 weeks of training, and they teach you how to train dogs. And theoretically, you'd be so good at dog training that you could teach other people to train dogs. But in the event that you need a tune-up, there's an annual conference, and then there's a biannual event to get together to learn how to train dogs more effectively. You are saying that if somebody, in this case, Haley, if she wanted to buy a eyelash extension business, would you train her how to provide the eyelash extensions, the eyebrow services, the hair extension? Would you would teach her how to do that?
Yes, so I would teach her, but then the training is pretty simple. So anyone that she would onboard after the initial training, because I would help her train the first, I recommend like 4 employees.
So you would train her employees?
Right, yeah, just to get going.
Got it. Got it. In the ideal location for this, would you say your ideal and likely buyer is, probably women with disposable income, Is that an accurate statement, or who is your ideal and likely buyer?
I would say women in general. I mean,
Really?
we see, yes, like people who we book because our online booking system charges their card $1 just to make sure they have money in there, and they come in, they try to book their appointments around when they get their paycheck.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
This is a thing?
It's a thing. It's a thing.
I
for
can't,
sure.
I can't. That's mind-boggling. Okay, so if you're out there and you're saying, well, who's the ideal and likely buyer? You would need to be located near women, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
would you say it would need to be, though? You wouldn't want it in a rough part of town, right? You'd want it in an area where it's like a upper middle class area, or where would you want to locate your business?
I would say the best location would be a suburb.
Suburb?
But it really works. It works anywhere.
Okay.
But best be suburb or somewhere in the city. I like the suburbs best though, just because those are usually the highest salons, highest revenue.
Okay. So suburbia near a city. Okay. So near a thriving city, not a city that's struggling in all areas financially. You want to be in a city that's doing well. And now, as far as the actual cost to get started, to open a location, what is the most amount of money it could cost to open a location?
A little over $100K, and that would depend on your build out, what kind of furniture you chose, things like that. It can get pretty expensive, but it could also be really cost effective if you wanted it to be. So it kind of fits the owner.
So the cost could be as high as $110,000. And how many employees do you need to start?
I would start with 4. That would be my recommendation. And then to build it out with the potential to have 10 to 12 stations.
Okay. So initial setup, opening costs are between $50,000 to $110,000. You'd want to have, you said 4 stations?
4 employees in the beginning.
4 employees. So you need to have 4 employees. Okay. 4 employees.
And then the setup for 10 to 12.
Okay. Okay. And then build a location that can accommodate up to 12 stations. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And then you have to lease a building, probably. You probably don't own a building. So if you need to lease a building, would it be $5,000 a month? Someone needs to factor in to lease a space, or $3,000 or $10,000 or?
It would depend on where you are. Here, the high end is around $3,000 a month. So, and then the low end, you can get something for under $1,000.
How big of a space? How big of a location?
So minimum 1,500 square feet. And that's if you had just an open concept that didn't have separate rooms. And if you had separate rooms, it would be about 3,000 square feet. Okay.
So a minimum of 1,500 square feet. The monthly lease payment would, of $3,000 per month minimum is probably accurate. And 4 employees need to be trained to start. Opening costs for the build out and supplies is about $100,000 ish. And then as far as, how long would it take you to train someone how to open their own location?
So the initial training would be about a week, and then the employees would know what to do. So once you're trained in eyelash extension application or really any of the other services, you just need to practice on more people until you're fast enough to get it down in the time that each service allots. So like a full set is 2 hours. So when we train someone, it only takes a couple of days to actually train them how to do it. And then they spend that time practicing and getting faster so that they can get their time under the service time, if that makes sense.
Yep. Okay. So, and I want to make sure people really get this idea. If you buy an OxyFresh franchise with full disclosure, I've worked with them for years. There's now hundreds and hundreds of locations. I believe approaching 500 locations. If you buy a Tip Top Canine dog training franchise, or you buy a Flutter, some people out there listening go, man, a Flutter would be great. Some people say a Tip Top Canine would be great. Some say carpet cleaning is great. My main thing I'm looking for is, can I create a business model that's like bumper bowling, where you can't fail, or at least it's harder to fail? But we can't guarantee you're going to fail, because what if you fail? Like, what if you as a person become a raging alcoholic with a gambling addiction with a side of drug addiction? That's not going to go well. If you open up your own business and then you find a way to get in verbal altercations with all customers, we cannot stop that. So jackassery cannot be stopped. So you have to ask yourself if you're a sane, consistent person. Now, after the initial training, ongoing costs, the ongoing expenses here, you're going to pay $750 a month to my team. That's me, my company, makeyourlifeepic.com. And that's for the monthly coaching. We have every week, we coach you down the path to make sure that you don't drift. So every week we track the numbers, we hold you accountable to make sure you're following the systems. That's a weekly coaching, and it's a monthly fee of $750 per month. Then there's another $750 per month that you pay to Flutter just for the license, so if you buy a Flutter for whatever reason, you decide that you don't want to open it, you get gun shy, you get abducted by an alien, somebody's still going to pay $750 per month, no matter what, because you're basically blocking out the potential for someone else to open up a Flutter. And that might not seem like it matters now, but like in the case of OxyFresh, there are, hundreds of locations that are not available because somebody else already owns one. And so we don't want to block out opportunity from somebody else without receiving some kind of income there. And then you're going to pay 10% of all gross revenue to Flutter. And that includes the call center and all licensing fees. So the idea is that 10% covers the cost of the call center, covers the cost of licensing and all those other things. So that's all there. And then the call center will answer the phone for the location. Is that correct, Kendra?
Correct. Yes. They handle all bookings, cancellations, rescheduling, questions about that. That's huge because that takes a long time to kind of learn and deal with all those different situations. And they've been doing it for a long time now. So.
And just to be clear, the Flutter, which opened up in 2014, did over $500,000 of revenue. That's the Flutter, the mothership. Then you had your South Tulsa location, which you opened in 2020, and that has done now almost $500,000, $490,000 of revenue. And then you have the extensionist Owasso, which was opened in 2021, and that one has done nearly $300,000 of revenue. And you have Midtown, which has been opened in 2021, and that one did $188,000 of revenue. And you have your newest one in Brookside, which is just getting going as well. So those are all. So that is how the business works. That is a description of it. And I wanted to open it up for Haley to ask any questions that she might have that maybe weren't covered or maybe she had clarification on. So Haley, welcome on to the Thrivetime Show. What questions do you have for Kendra?
Hello. Kendra, so my main question was, how long does it take to even break even once you open a location?
So as in expenses or paying back what you've invested to get open?
I mean, both. So once I open a location and get going and I've paid all this money to do it, then how long does it take to get back my money from that and then start?
Well, I'm gonna go first. I'll let Kendra one up me here. It's kind of a thing where if you want to, you can never break even. It is possible. So there's a guy who has a hair business in Oklahoma who's come to our workshops, and I own a hair business. And I'm not going to teach my competition. I'm not going to do it because it's my fiduciary duty as an owner not to teach my competition. But he kind of weaseled his way in, Kendra. He pretended to own a different kind of business, all that stuff. And he came in and I ran into him and he says, oh, I got to admit, I own my own hair business. And I'm like, oh, I know, buddy. You've been sitting here for 2 days taking notes. And I run into him all the time. And to this day, he applies 0% of what he's learned. And I know for a fact it cost him over $350,000 to open up his location. So
Wow.
he, every month he has a business loan. And I don't know what his business loan is, but let's just say your business loan, your monthly bill for your business loan was $1,000 a month to pay down $100,000 loan. At his current pace, he will never pay off his note. I mean, he just barely makes the minimum payments. And, the bank doesn't care because he keeps paying his payments and he keeps refinancing. So the bank's going to get paid back like 3 times. But he probably will never be profitable. And his biggest issue is he won't fire poor employees. He will not fire employees that refuse to do a good job. And I know this because I've mystery shopped his business as well. I've got in there to get a haircut, and like I schedule a 3:00 appointment at 3 p.m. and I get in like at 3:45. And I know this. And so I would just say it is possible to never make your money back. So what I would do is I would do the math and think about, okay, it costs this much money to get started. And if we're generating this much profit, how many customers does it take to break even? So Kendra, I want to ask you this. What is the average cost of the average service? Like what is the average ticket, the average customer ticket?
So it depends on if they're getting a fill or a full set. Like if you had all returning clients, it would be 60, 65 average. So those are all fills. But when you have full sets, those are more than double the cost. So it really just depends. And in the beginning, she's going to have, hypothetically, if she had one, it would be all full sets. So you make more money off of it, but you want the returning clients just because then you don't have to spend the money to get people to come in and you're booked all the time. So,
and what's the profit margin?
Do my numbers off of $60 an hour, just to figure out what I need to get to, how many girls I need, how booked we need to be, because I feel like that's a safe number.
What's the profit margin percentage that you are looking to achieve? Like if someone spends $65, what profit margin are you trying to target?
It's about 50%. That's my target.
Okay. And, the one thing I find if somebody wants to buy a business that I find people struggle with is being consistent. And that's not really a problem that you have. Kendra, I mean, you do a good job there. And so I knew you would do well. So when we heard about you and had the opportunity to work with you, I knew I could work with you and help you grow because you're not an inconsistent rando. But there are people that specialize in randoism, where they can't keep to a schedule. So going back to the workflow, the stuff you would have to do in your schedule, you have to do an interview every week or your business will become a complete cesspool. Like if you do not do a group interview every week, anybody out there, if you're listening to me, if you run a business and you do not interview new potential employees every week, even when you think you don't need to, you will never be successful, because what will happen is eventually in the eyelash business, in the hair business, in any business that involves dealing directly with the customer, what will happen is the employees at a certain point will have the idea that they should go open up their own business. And when that happens, that puts you in a really bad spot if you don't have any new employees to take that spot. The second thing is you're going to have to do a team meeting every week where you meet with the team and make sure that the team isn't drifting. So as an example, we had one of our top employees at Elephant in the Room, great employee. And one day in the meeting, she came to me and she said, "Hey, I'm moving to Hawaii." And I'm going, "When?" She says, "Right now." I'm like right now? She says, "Oh yeah." And this was one of our top employees we'd ever had. And I'm going, "Really? Like when is now?" She goes, "This is my last day." That actually happened. And this happens all the time in business. So I think it's very important that people understand that people think, if you're listening right now, think about how like you had the last job and all of a sudden you didn't, or think about how you were going to go to college and then you didn't, or you were going to get married and then you didn't, or whatever that is. People, they're consistent till they're not. And if you don't do the group interview, it's a bad thing. Kendra, can you speak to that briefly? Because you do a good job of constantly interviewing people. Why is it important to never stop interviewing people?
Because you never know, just like you said. I mean, I've had 4 girls at once that decided they were going to go and do their own thing together. And it was definitely like a secret behind my back kind of thing. And then, text me and say, "We're leaving the morning of." So if I had been prepared, then that was before I had met you, before I knew about group interviews. And it just like destroyed me emotionally because I was close to them, but also financially because I wasn't prepared for it. So I learned the hard way, not to get close to employees and to do the group interviews. And like, I just felt like they were irreplaceable in a way, and that it would take so long. And now I know that I have, 20, 30 people every week that want to take their place. So it really helps empower you and get your confidence back and just know where you stand, you know.
And I'll just give you an example. I mean, we had a guy I worked with for years. I'll just be very vague here, but I just worked with a guy for years. And Haley, this is before you started working here. And I worked with this guy for years, and he's doing great. And all of a sudden, like, his wife has a problem. You know, like, all of a sudden, like, his wife is like, yeah, I think that we're paying Clay Clark too much money, even though he's contractually obligated to pay me 2.5% of the revenue. But when I started with him, his wife never complained that I was being paid too much, because I wasn't making anything. I made $1,700 a month plus 0 commission. And this is a guy whose business was stuck forever. I mean, he had been stuck for years, barely making any money. Then when I grew his business into a multi-million dollar company, and now my monthly paycheck is like $7,000 a month, his wife determines, yeah, I think we're paying him too much. And even though the agreement states that he needs to pay me, he just decided not to, and I had to take it into legal and all that. And that kind of stuff happens all the time in business. So I just want to be very clear. You got to do the group interview. Second is you got to do a daily huddle. You got to check with your team every day to make sure that they are not drifting, competing with you, screwing you over, stealing money, doing weird stuff. And then you have to have a weekly staff meeting every week to make sure your team knows the plan. And then you have to do a weekly accounting meeting. And the accounting meeting, and this is really big, Haley, and for anybody out there listening, you've got to look at your numbers every week.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell people, you know, I want to have 160 consulting clients. People say, well, why don't you have, 407? If you're a real business coach, you'd have 407. Well, I'm happy with 160 clients. And if you go to thrivetimeshow.com and you click on testimonials, I've got so many client success stories. They just go on. And I have over 2,000 success stories since 2005. So think about that. I've got 2,000 success stories. But I know for me, I only want to have 160 clients because I want to make sure all 160 clients do well. You might buy a business and say that you want to have 4,000 clients or you want to have 1,000 clients. But I want to ask you, Kendra, to be financially viable, how many clients does somebody need to have per month to be financially viable?
I don't have any of my numbers pulled up.
Okay.
Let me get it open.
Okay, no problem. But you want to figure out how many clients do you need to have to break even? So with our haircut business, there are certain numbers we have to have. So I mean, we have 5 locations, 3 of which I own, 2 of which are franchises, and they have to have a certain number of members just to break even. And so you want to know that, because every month that you don't have that many customers, you're losing money, and that's not awesome. So that's the one number you'll want to know, is how many customers do you need to break even? How many monthly customers? As she's looking up those numbers, Haley, any other questions that you have about opening a flutter?
So would our, Kendra and, hypothetically me, relationship, would that be like a weekly meeting with her as well?
No, it would be a weekly meeting with our team to guide you down the path, the coaching. So if you buy a Tip Top Canine, our company, Make Your Life Epic, coaches the local owner. However, there is ongoing dog-specific training that happens on a bi-monthly or bi-annual basis. And that would be with the founders of Tip Top Canine. And the reason why is because once you start having 50 locations or 60 locations, the person who started the business, in this case, Kendra, needs to be available to always make the systems better and to be training new people. Does that make sense? Kendra, any thoughts on the number of clients you need to break even, or the number of clients you want to have per location?
So when I did it, it was for all 5 combined. I don't have a breakdown of each one.
Yeah, no problem. I don't want to pay you.
But so per week or per month?
Per month.
2,982.
Okay. How many was that number again?
2,982.
Okay. So, and you have 5 locations, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're talking about 600 members per location is the current number she's at. But you just got to kind of think through the math of that. Cool. Any other questions you have, Haley, about opening one? Because again, I think a lot of people get stuck on what kind of insurance do I need? How do I know if it's a good lease? Those are all the things we help you through. But the main thing is you got to ask yourself, does that initial cost of $100,000 and then the initial lease every month, you're paying $3,000 a month, and does that initial paying of employees with no guarantee of revenue, does that overwhelm people? If it doesn't overwhelm people, then the next step is to schedule a consultation with Kendra. And the way that would work is you would go to theextensionist918.com and we click on the button that says want to open up your own location. And if you click there, Kendra, they can set up a free consultation with you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And are any other questions that people ask you all the time about opening a flutter that you'd like to communicate there, Kendra?
So about the payroll, one of the positives is that they're commission, so they don't get paid unless we have a client in the chair. That's a common thing. People think that they're going to have payroll right off the bat without having money coming in, like a lot of businesses do.
Yep.
And with ours, it's a merit-based pay system, but it is commission. So unless there's a paying client, they're not getting that commission. And then there was something else that I was going to say, but I lost it.
Well, I would say this, the big thing that I don't know how to like communicate this idea without upsetting somebody. So we'll go with it and then someone will get upset. The 3 phases of entrepreneurship, everyone needs to learn. Step 1, you've got to have a practical education. You have to know what you're doing. You have to be able to solve. If you're a welder, become a great welder. If you're a doctor, become a great doctor. If you're a dentist, become a great dentist. But you want to be great at something first. Then the next step is you want to have somewhat of a reputation, like that people know that you're a consistent person, and that will reflect itself in your credit score. Someone says, well, I'm a good person. My credit score is terrible. Okay, well, maybe you're an outlier, but that'll reflect. People will start to know that you show up on time. You have a good credit score. You're saving money. That's kind of the step 2 as you build the reputation. Step 3 is that's when you exchange that reputation, that practical education for compensation. So when I built my first business, DJ Connection, my mind wanted to open a business, but I had no reputation, no practical education, and no money to speak of. So I got a job at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And that was my get rich quick scheme, was to work at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV, 100 hours a week, every week. For my wife and I, we had one car. We sold a car. We had one car. We didn't have air conditioning or heat, and we lived like that. We lived like misers. We lived like those beach bum people that run around looking for metal artifacts in the beach. We did that for about 2 years of our early marriage. We got married. We were about 20 years old, until about the age of 23, 24. That's all we did was we lived very frugally. We had a great time, and we saved all of our money. And then I was able to buy a lot of equipment to build my company, djconnection.com, which I no longer have any ownership of at all. But I was able to take that money and start buying equipment and buying more advertising. And that's kind of how it took off. So if you're listening out there today and you're like, man, I really want to do something, but I don't have the money yet. That's just it. That's how most people start. But it's good to know where you need to get to. So it's not a murky, mystical, theoretical mirage you're chasing. You can know where you need to be. And then you know how much it costs. And then you can start saving. And my recommendation for anybody out there that says, how am I going to fund a startup? I recommend that you get multiple jobs or you work the heck out of the one job you have. And I had worked at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. And then finally I found a boss named Rob Biggins, who's a great guy. And Rob would let me work as many hours as I wanted to. And he was a disc jockey. And Rob knew I wanted to start my own business. And he said, you can work as much as you want, dude. And so I went from 3 jobs to 1 job. And all I did was DJ'd all the time. And I saved money and DJ'd and I worked for him. And then when I was able to open my own thing, he was cool about it. He knew I wanted to do it. And all he said was, please don't go after my current customers or my current employees, and we'll leave part ways as friends. And it was a great relationship. And Rob Biggins really made that made a big impact in my life in that regard. So big shout out to Rob Biggins. Any other questions, Haley?
I think that's it.
You're feeling good.
Feeling good.
Okay, Kendra, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, if you're listening out there today, after today's interview on part 2, I'm going to share with you more about the Tip Top Canine franchise opportunity so people can learn more about that. Because maybe you're listening right now and you're like, eyelash extensions? No. Dog training? Yes. Maybe you're listening saying, dog training? No. Eyelash extensions? Yes. Maybe you say, dog training? No. Eyelash extensions? No. Carpet? Yes. So I'll put a link here. You can learn more about opening up an OxyFresh carpet cleaning franchise as well. Kendra, do you have any interest in opening up a carpet cleaning business or Kendra?
I've never thought about it, but I would consider it.
Why haven't you thought about it?
Because I've been very busy with eyelashes.
Think about it though. You too could clean carpets all day, every day. Okay. And would you have any interest in owning a dog training franchise?
No.
Why?
I love dogs, but I don't want to be around them all day long.
What about you, Haley? Do you like dogs?
I love dogs.
Would you want to be a Tip Top Canine owner?
Train them all day long.
Okay, so I'm just saying, and it doesn't make somebody wrong or right because you like sushi and other people don't. Everybody out there, we need to figure out, ask God, what is the best use of my time, my energy? What do I like? What do I like doing? And if you can find a way to generate a sustainable profit while following a proven business system, it's like bowling with bumpers. You know, you I'm sure if you wanted to bowl a gutter ball while bowling with bumpers, you could do it if you really wanted to, but it's theoretically you'll score much higher, more consistently. So Kendra, thank you for your time. Haley, I appreciate you guys and have a great day.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy with Tip Top Canine, and I'm the founder.
I'm Rachel Wimpy, and I am a co-founder.
So we've been running Tip Top for about the last 14 years, franchising for the last 3-4 years. So someone that'd be a good fit for Tip Top loves dogs, they're high energy, they want to be able to own their own job, but they don't want to worry about, that high failure rate. They want to do that like bowling with bumper lanes.
So you give us a call, reach out to us, we'll call you, and then we'll send you an FDD, look over that, read it, fall asleep to it, it's very boring, and then we'll book a discovery day, and you come and you can spend a day or two with us to make sure that you actually like it, make sure training dogs is something that you want to do.
So an FDD is a franchise disclosure document. It's a federally regulated document that goes into all the nitty-gritty details of what the franchise agreement entails.
So who would be a good fit to buy a Tip Top Canine would be somebody who loves dogs, who wants to work with dogs all day as their profession. You'll make a lot of money, you'll have a lot of fun, it's very rewarding. And who would not be a good fit is a cat person.
So the upfront cost for Tip Top is $43,000. And a lot of people say they're generating doctor money, but on our disclosure, the numbers are anywhere from over $1 million a year in dog training, what our Oklahoma City location did last year, to $25-35 grand a month.
To train and get trained by us for Tip Top Canine, to run your own Tip Top Canine, you would be with us for 6 weeks here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
So we've been married for 7 years.
8 years.
8 years. So if you're watching this video, you're like, hey, maybe I want to be a dog trainer. Hey, that one sounds super amazing. Go to our website, tiptopcanine.com, click on the yellow franchising tab, fill out the form, and Rachel and I will give you a call. Our Oklahoma City location last year, they did over $1 million. He's been running that shop for 3 years. Before, he was a youth pastor with 0 sales experience, 0 dog training experience before he ever met with us.
So just call us, come spend a day with us, spend a couple days with us, make sure you like training dogs, and own your own business.
Well, the biggest reason to buy a Tip Top Canine is so you own your own job and you own your own future, and you don't hate your life. You get an enjoyable job that brings a lot of income but is really rewarding.